my son Andrew. And so we've gone from the progeny of the eldest daughter to the progeny of the younger, the baby son. You're right. So Andrew's my eldest. My middle child, Eric, is unable to be with us today. He lives in Hawaii and could not get here, but has very strong feelings, as one might imagine. And I want to bring up my daughter, Emily, the youngest of this generation.
Okay.
My Magala. She called me Mamala, and I called her Magala. I'm so lucky to have my Magala in my heart. We used to talk about what if you die, how weird and inevitable and impossible. Now, Dad is watching the legendary Schwester's interview, and you're literally glowing white in this movie, Maka. She's glowing and laughing her legendary laugh and storytelling. And I'm crying again, and I want my family to know that these are the most cleansing, soothing, powerful tears I ever cried. I'm so grateful for these tears. So grateful for such love. These tears that spring from the wellspring of such love for us. Thankful for bringing this much love to my heart. How to explain how dear my Maga, Clare, is to me. She is deeply impactful and special to everyone whose lives she touched, aka everyone she just started talking to or stopped talking to, and everyone who heard about her. How beautiful, how strong, how deeply loving and powerful her presence was and is. She still is the most fiercely loving human presence in my whole life. And our Papa Sydney was and is the most gently loving presence in my life. I loved listening to Maga talk about Papa and the look on her face when she did. Maga seemed comforted whenever I reassured her that I do remember Papa and I knew how much he loved me. The truth is, I barely remember his voice, and I didn't know how much and how completely he and she loved me. I just felt and I feel that he and she love me now, always, in a deeply personal and impersonal, unconditional, forever kind of way. There's no one like my Maga, and there could never be. There will never be anyone who calls so consistently just to say love, and just to remind me of my highest potential and loving contribution that she always saw in me and in everyone else. There will never be anyone who pretends to be jumping up and down with delight every time I called her just to say hi. And she was a person who looked at me with so much love and so much honesty that I sometimes felt shy and looked away. No one ever looked at me the way she did. She was such an adorable, funny, comforting, immensely beautiful person. I miss her, and at the same time I feel so much love for and from her that it's as if I could feel her presence in a new and different way. The other night I sat for hours with the candlelight lit for her, looking at the flame and feeling her beautiful smile. Her yahrzeit candle flame was strangely strong. No matter how much I cried and sighed in front of it, my breath never blew out the flame. It moved and flickered and stayed steady and strong. Strong and soft and warm and simple and powerful and pure. The flame reminded me of my Maga. We are so grateful that she passed away in her sleep and before her beloved sisters and kids. We all know that's what she wanted and what we wanted for her. Sarah's grandfather said a death like that is reserved for the angels and for my Magala. It's as if she planned the timing and the way in which she would die out of deep compassion for her family and herself. Dad was home with Mom, and I'm finally at home with them after 8 years of my fakakta travels. And I know Maga would be so happy that I'm home with them now. I was in the city the day I got the call. I was alone, crying. A stranger saw me crying, sat with me, and asked me what happened, and then said something I've only ever heard my maga say. You were such a joy to her. Then I took out the food I had packed for myself that morning of her passing. It was the same weird spaghetti squash, the same strange food that I ate in the Williams Cafe with her the very last time I saw her. The last time I saw her, we spoke about how mysterious this whole life and death situation really is. And she told me that she believed it to be miraculous and magical in a delightfully mystifying way. Maga was so very pragmatic and grounded, yet I always saw a bright twinkle of wonder in her eyes. Maga used to wonder, like a cute, curious child, what would happen to her once she dies. We didn't know. I don't know what's happened or what's happening. All I know is whatever happens or doesn't happen after death, she's handling it really well. Maga couldn't imagine what would happen after she dies, and I chose not to imagine either. Mostly because I couldn't. I couldn't imagine this world without her. I felt like this world would be so much colder without her. And how fitting it is that this past week has been so very cold for this time of year. And yet, when I really allow myself to remember her, I feel warmed up from the inside, so I won't imagine losing her, and I won't live life without her. I'm gonna keep her here, her love, her warmth. I'm gonna keep her right here with me in my heart, in my head. I feel like that's a Maga thing to say. Most of our conversations were her calling me just to remind me, just in case I forgot, that I'm in her heart and in her thoughts, and she just wanted to make sure I'm eating and feeling loved and doing what I like to do. She appreciated me just for being, just because I existed. She was proud. So I'll keep her precious love with me and the love and admiration I have for her deep in my heart. And I will smile and feel so lucky for this love, this sense of family, unconditional support that she brought to my life. I will let her bring smiles to my heart, cleansing tears through my eyes, and someday I'm sure memories of her will make me giggle all over again.
They will, Emily. They will. So you've heard from Claire's children and grandchildren, but you also heard reference to the Schwesters, and I think it is important to understand the breadth of her impact, and the family extended almost seamlessly to the Schwesters and their children. The Schwesters and Esther, who until I was about 20, I thought her name was Dester. I was writing it somewhere with a D, and I thought it was an interesting name. Esther rides again. Big, she was Aunt Esther. And Aunt Jeanette. Aunt Jeanette the baby. Unfortunately, Aunt Jeanette is ill and in the hospital in Florida. Can't be here. But I really know the depth of the loss that Esther is feeling. And I do want to try to express the connection that these three sisters had, and how special it is. And because I didn't really understand how special it was, except through the eyes of my wife, Julia, who's been saying to me over the years, I've been in this family for 10 years, 20 years, now we're approaching 40 years. I've known you all this time. These three women have always had each other's back, had never an unkind word for each other. And it took a number of years before, well, yeah. I mean, because that's the way it was. I took that for granted. I know how special it is. And Kevin, and Shira, who's in Florida with Jeanette, and Amy. And it's a family that is like a big family, not quite the Waltons, I don't think, but of that ilk. And a lot of special things. I'm not sure who in that group might want to talk, but I wanted to start, Mark, you do have a video to show. So I'm going to, Mark is a man of many talents, and among them, a really very talented video editor. We didn't give him a lot of time on this one. But I'm personally looking forward to seeing what you put together. Thank you, Mark. Of Claire's extended family, nephews and nieces. If anybody else wants to talk, please follow after Danny. It's not pressure, just let me know.
I wish I could have gone earlier. It was a little more composed than a half hour ago.
Yeah.
I'm cousin Danny. I'm Esther's son. And as Paul explained, our families grew, our three families grew very, very close together. Claire and Uncle Sid, my mom, my dad, Uncle Bernie, and Jeanette and Uncle Norman. They raised us as one family. I'm really sorry. And we're still that way. And we're still as close now, God, thank goodness, as we were then growing up. And I said to Paul that, reminding him about saying something today, and that St. Clare, as Paul alluded to before, would often say that don't tell me how great I am, when I'm gone. Tell me how great I am when I'm still around. And that vein, I wanted to read what I wrote and said to her at Aunt Claire's 90th birthday celebration, not quite 3 years ago. So, okay, who am I? Danny, I've been trying to reach your mother for almost 3 minutes and she's not picking up. Where is she? There is so much that goes into the making of Aunt Clare. It's not just the drilling in at young single-digit ages of yes, not yeah, of well, not good, or Richard and I, not Richard and me, or the retelling of Aunt Clare, what is the name of this store, or using my sleeve after an Aunt Clare kiss, or getting me a variance to get into Jamaica High School, or saying to me in 10th grade, there's this school called Wharton you really should think about, or saying to me, you want to be in real estate, but you'll just be a salesman. It's not just your way of telling someone how you feel, whether they want to hear it or not. It's not any one of those things. It's all of those things. It's the love you give to each and every one of us, and the sincere and complete interest you take in each of our lives, and the advice that you give us in trying to help make us happy, or helping us to avoid sadness, or hurt, or disappointment. It's the way you look up at me with unmistakable pride and unconditional love. It's the way you say, I know you love me, but I need to hear it from you. And Aunt Clare, I love telling you how much I love you, because I know that every time that I say it, it has meaning to both of us. You've always been like a second mother to me, and I'm not sure you truly know the profound and wonderful impact you've had on me, and how you've helped to mold me into who I am. You've done good. I mean well.
So I think there's a clear picture of Claire, my mom, Maga, Grammy. And it does clearly center around family, and it's been alluded to, the way it extended beyond family. To me, that's in many ways the more powerful descriptor of who she was and what made her unique. Not everybody loves their family, or hopefully, but the way that she would find, and you've heard it in many of the remembrances, the way she would connect and interact with strangers, but particularly with people who were important to her family. And I see Jackie and Barry here, Robin's high school friends. I've gotten emails from Michael and Steve and Rich, my high school friends. And it really, I think, should be said how special it was that I had the house that friends wanted to come to, and when they came, they wanted to engage with my mother. That didn't happen at other houses. And I mean, I guess when I was a teenager, it must have felt weird or icky or I'm sure I did a lot of that. But I really always knew how special that was and how lucky I was to have that in my life. And it would extend into strangers. So I shared with Robin today, I was looking at a piece that Robin had written about my mother and her aortic stenosis from, it was an article written 9 years ago, or 8 years ago, I think. 8 years ago, when they gave her a 2-year prognosis, so did all right. And somebody wrote in the comment section, Robin has no idea who it is, but I want to read this to you, because this is written in the comment section of this New York Times piece. Dear Robin, I have had the recent benefit of meeting your mother. Your description of her denim blue eyes, spiky intellect, questioning why and how is the joy of knowing her. It is the root of her ability to speak the truth. There is no kindness greater than speaking the truth without malice, and a kindness that calls for courage. This is she. I don't know, maybe that's a good way to end it. Words from a stranger? No, but the way I do want to end it is with the sound of Kaddish. Robin and I talked about this, and as we know, as we've said, as you've heard many times, my mother was not just not a religious person. She was an irreligious person. She was not an agnostic. She was a confirmed atheist. And in fact, as others have alluded to, her favorite phrase in her declining years was, "I'm not going to go until I find God." That was her amulet. That was her immortality, because she knew that was the thing that would never happen. And I know that's probably uncomfortable for some, and I don't say this to make anyone uncomfortable. I say this because I don't have the same feelings about people who believe in God that my mother had. I know that different people, smart, real, or people using their God-given brain, is that phrase, can believe in God. And but I imagine that at least anybody who's here to celebrate Clare's life couldn't imagine a God who would hold it against her at this point, right? There's no conception of a God that I'm willing to accept that would give her a hard time in the afterlife. It's just not going to happen. And so for me, Kaddish is less about the prayer, more about the sound, the incantation. I'm going to do a little bit of soft shoe here, so if somebody might come up to the podium who could do this without fumfering on the Hebrew. And actually, I don't know if anybody wants these Mourner's Kaddish cards. I happen to notice they're here. You have that. You can pass it around. But as irreligious as she was fiercely Jewish. The word fierce keeps coming up again. And again, for some people who may not understand that that's not an oxymoron, there is that cultural identity, there is that sense of who you are that was a powerful cornerstone of who she was, just without the religious part. With that, Andrew, thank you.
All right, everyone together.
Yikadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, v'yalmad divrach yurtei v'yamlik malchutei, v'chayechon yomechon v'chutei v'chol beit Yisrael, v'hagala v'zman karib v'yu amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah v'barach l'olam. Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitchaleh v'yithalal shnei kedusha v'yivritu, v'elah mikol chata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, tamiram v'yama v'yimru amen. Yehi shema Rabbah v'nishmayah, v'chayim aleinu kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'roma, u'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Shiva will follow this service at Robin and Jeff's home, 106 Morningside Drive. Is that 121st Street or George Carlin Place, actually? Got a nice George Carlin, something that has some injustice, except the language he uses. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.